Hello everybody and welcome back to the Shoddy Kitchen. Today I've decided to cook samosas. So anyway, I'll just get started. I've prepared quite a lot of it just to keep the time down on the video. So people use different ingredients in their samosas. Some are very plain, some are just sort of potato and onion and a couple of spices. Others have got cauliflower in, blah blah blah. Being a bit of a vegetable fanatic that I am, I'm actually going to put a few things in here. Obviously you don't have to. I'm putting a little bit of cauliflower in, I'm putting some peas in, some sweet corn, and a selection of spices which is probably slightly more than your average one in India. But anyway, we'll go for it and you can decide for yourself what level you take it to. So first things first, I've got the oven warming up and the pan. I'm going to cook half in the oven and half in the pan, fried. Now the reason for that is they probably taste slightly better fried, but I want to try them in the oven and see if I can replicate that sort of taste. I remember making them with my little niece once and we did everything perfectly to the book. Lovely samosas we made, lovely shape, they're great. And we decided to be healthy and put them in the oven, and the disappointment on her face, I can't bear to see that again, so I'm going to try both. Right, first things first, mashed potato. I've already cooked these and I've roughly mashed them, so you want a few lumps but you don't want it huge chunks because you've got to roll them up. So I'm going to put everything in the bowl as I go along. Right, so in there we've got mashed potato, some little florets of cauliflower. Now all I did was take a big floret and put it in the water of the potatoes for probably only about 30 seconds just as I was cooking them near the end. So they're going to go in as well. So they're slightly cooked but not very much. Right, also in there I've got some finely chopped onion. That's probably one small onion, one clove of garlic finely chopped, a little piece of ginger, a couple of green chilies, one's complete with seeds, one I took the seeds and the pith out of to keep the heat down, and then there's a sort of smallish handful of coriander or cilantro. So I'm just going to put all of that in there now. I might hold back on a little of the onion and see if we need any more. Okay, and then as I said, it's probably a couple of tablespoons of peas and a couple of tablespoons of sweet corn. They're both frozen, which is perfectly good. They're going in there as well. So I'll give that a little stir. Now the spices here are going to be slightly experimental for me because it's not the ones I normally use, but I've been doing a little research and it's relatively common when people make these at home, in India that is, to use powdered spices rather than whole spices, which I would have normally put more seeds and things in, but I'm going to stick roughly to a sort of standardised recipe. So what we've got here is a little bit of, this one's jeera, so this is cumin powder. So I'm going to put approximately a teaspoon of cumin powder, just under a teaspoon of cumin powder in there. Same again with coriander powder, so sort of 3/4 of a teaspoon maybe in there. Now what I am going to do, which wasn't in the recipe but I think it's going to be nice, I'm going to put a few ajwain seeds in. I think we've talked about these many times. It tastes a little bit like thyme or something. I'm just going to put let's put about 1/4 of a teaspoon in there. And I'm going to put a few fennel seeds in because I think it'll be really nice if you get a little taste of fennel every now and again. So probably half a teaspoon of fennel seeds. Right, so I'm going to stir those all in there so it's nicely mixed up. Anyway, this is us. So this is what we've got once it's all mixed together. Now the next procedure, make the chapatis up and then cut them in half and use those to make the samosas. I've actually bought phyllo pastry today to cut time and also because it cooks really nice and crisp. I'll just turn the gas down slightly because I could hear it spitting. Right, this part, I don't know if Sally could just zoom in on this a little bit. What we've got, this comes in reasonably big squares. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a square That's a complete square. We're going to cut it in half, like that, and each half I'm going to fold in half. So that will basically give us a double layer of phyllo on each one. Okay, so next thing to do, I'm going to take a spoonful of this mixture. You don't want to put too much in these. These are like snack samosas. They're not like the big pyramid ones you get, big chunky thick pastry ones. These are the smaller sort of snack samosas. So I put a teaspoon of that at one end, and I'm going to fold that corner over so we end up with a bit of a triangle like that. And then we're going to do the same all the way along. So you're folding it over itself and you're keeping that triangular shape. Right, and then at the end, to hold it together, I've made up a little bit of paste. This is just a little bit of flour and a little bit of water, and it's a thick paste, like wallpaper paste actually. And I'm going to use that to hold the edges together. You don't need to do this. If you're dropping them into a deep fryer, they probably seal themselves before they had time to come apart. So there we go, one small snack samosa. So I'm going to roll those up now, and when they're ready I'll come back to you and we'll show you how we're going to cook them and what they look like. So see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back and we've got 10 rolled samosas. I'm going to do the rest later. This is just a few to fry, a few to go in the oven so we can do a tester. If anyone was wondering what that funny meowing sort of moany sound was, it was actually Minnie, our cat, suddenly took it upon herself to make loads of noise while we're trying to film. Anyway, back to cooking. So what I'm going to do, the ones that are going in the oven, I'm going to brush a little bit of oil on, just so that the pastry goes nice and crispy in the oven. Like I say, I'm trying to make these a bit more healthy than the fried ones, so I won't put too much oil on those. One thing I forgot when I was doing the ingredients, I forgot to mention to put some salt in with the potato. That's why I need Suana, you see. My sidekick Suana, who's actually still in India, she would have reminded me about that and actually lived up to a nickname, which is Salty. Just because when we first started cooking I was quite surprised at the amount of salt she put in things, but she did actually change that after a while, and I still call her Salty now. So anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to slip those in the oven, which is preheated. It's a gas mark 6. I'm going to put them in somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, but I'll check them until they're golden brown. So that's preheated already, that's slipping in. And then this pan, I'm going to test the temperature of the oil with a small bit of pastry that I've kept back. If it does that, so it cooks straight away, floats to the surface, the oil's a ready temperature to cook. So I'm going to drop these in. Don't do too many at once, because you don't want to draw the heat out of the oil, and also you don't want them all to stick together. Okay, so they'll probably take a couple of minutes either side. You can deep fry these. I tend to not deep fry much, more because I don't want to waste the oil. It's you know, you use a whole bottle of oil in a deep fryer. I'm going to turn them over a couple of times. In a deep fryer, obviously you wouldn't have to because it cooks both sides at once. But again, you want to cook these till they're golden brown. Probably do this slightly more of a roaring flame, but they won't take very long anyway. So I'm going to carry on cooking those. There's no point in you watching that. That's it's not particularly interesting. It's like watching paint dry. So I'll carry on cooking these, and when they're finished, we'll come back to you and we'll show you the fried ones and the cooked in the oven ones, and we'll do a taste test and see how they fare. Anyway, see you in a bit. So here we have it. As you can see, they're slightly different colours. These are the fried ones, which have come out really nice actually. I like the look of those. These are from the oven, and they are very crisp, but they're not as golden brown as they are. They probably took about 5 minutes, 2.5 minutes each side, but anyway, you can watch those because you're frying them in front of you. I'm going to let them cool down a tiny bit. Actually, what I'll do, I'll chop one open. So it's nice and crisp. You can see the sort of amount of filling we've got in there. Actually, this is quite cool. I'll taste it now. So this is the fried one. That ain't half bad. I think, in hindsight, I'd put a tiny bit more salt in there. Other than that, that's pretty bang on actually. I like that. So yeah, well hopefully you'll make them and you'll enjoy them. So hello to Suanna and her family, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.